Welcome, everyone, to the Giants of Backlog podcast. I am this week's episode's host, Alec, joined by the three other Giants.
I'm Paul.
Yeah, say hi. So, each and every 2 weeks, we will get together and record a podcast about our favorite games. So, if you're listening now, make sure that you subscribe or whatever it is you do, and share and like it with all your friends.
Just Paul saying, I'm Paul.
I hope a lot of you guys got that reference.
I'm Paul. Yeah. This is off to a good start.
I like it.
So, this week's episode, the game that we're playing this week is Wargroove. So, let's talk. I want to start off with a little icebreaker, as we usually do, and I want to talk about turn-based RPGs in general. So, what's your guys' thought about it?
Turn-based RPGs?
Mm-hmm.
Like any, like Persona,
Like
and
any.
Dragon
So,
Quest,
like, if you think about it, it
Pokemon.
dates back to like chess, checkers, backgammon, and as you evolve, we've gotten like a ton more genres in it, right? So you got the JRPG,
Yes.
where each player takes turns in like a specific battle usually, and then you have more of the tactics and strategy, which is kind of what we played, more like the Wargroove side. But then I'd
don't know
even
if
say
I would
like there's
call
difference. Is
Wargroove and RPG.
Can we pause real quick? Is chess an RPG?
No.
I was gonna say, chess, the role-playing game.
it's a turn?
Could you imagine though?
It's
They
a
should make a chess
turn-based
RPG
game.
where
It
every
probably
time you move a
exists.
piece, like you become, oh, I'm the queen this turn.
Yep,
I'm
you
the
gotta
king.
take over the piece.
And then you die in real life.
Mm-hmm. Like Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. How did you refer to them? Turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, so like I was looking into like this genre, and it's just like so big and broad of a genre.
I don't play any games like Wargroove. I play RPGs that feature turn-based combat. Is how I think about them.
Okay, so like what would you
So I
describe
think
as that?
Jay hit a lot of the ones that I've played. Persona, Pokemon, Earthbound. Those are the ones that come to mind just off the top of my head. I really like turn-based combat. I guess like the Pokemon / Persona style of it at least. So maybe the JRPG turn-based combat is what I like, because I wasn't particularly fond of XCOM style turn-based combat when I played that game in Gears Tactics.
So yeah, there's like tactics too within there. So that's what I was saying is like Persona I would describe as like a JRPG type of
Yeah.
genre within the turn-based. And then yeah, Gears Tactics is like a tactics, or you can look up strategic RP role playing.
I don't think that XCOM or Wargroove or Gears Tactics is an RPG. You're not leveling things up.
We're killing him for his
There's no
support choice right
skill
now.
trees either.
I guess so.
Well, our
RPGs have
audience
skill
would
trees.
also kill him.
In real life.
I was role
All right,
playing
guys,
as
I gotta shut
Caesar
down the
the whole
podcast.
time. Those damn side quests.
Well, if you want to talk about turn-based RPGs, they're some of my favorite games I've ever played. Persona 5 and 4, obviously. Dragon Quest 11, Pokemon. Back when I was a child, I liked that game.
Legia 2 Dual Saga.
Exactly.
Classic. Everyone loves that game.
So turn-based RPGs are always something I gravitate to, because there's something chill about not being rushed, not having to react quickly, just sitting back, enjoying a big long story, leveling up your people, and the combat is based on the choices you make rather than your reaction time or
Yeah.
so.
And that's what I really appreciate about the genre as a whole. I like the fact that I get to take my turn and, come up with the most OP strategy, except I'm pretty dumb, as I just found out like 20 minutes ago watching that stream.
Mm-hmm.
Here I was thinking I was good at Wargroove.
John, what do you think about turn-based RPGs?
Let's just call them.
I've had my turn-based, we can get away from the word RPG.
Yeah,
if that's
we're going to drop the word RPG
just say,
if that's what's bothering you. Turn-based games.
I've enjoyed turn-based games. I don't love turn-based games now. But growing up, your Pokemons, your Legia 2 Dual Saga, those were two of the games that I probably played the most as a kid. So really enjoyed them. But Persona is a game that I know all three of you guys love, and it's something that I haven't even thought about trying just because I don't care for,
reading.
Well,
you have to read too.
No, there's English voice
You
acting.
have to read a lot in Hearthstone.
There's a lot of reading.
You like that one a lot.
Yeah, but I hate when there's a new expansion because I have to learn the new cards. Because I hate reading them,
Persona's now on everything. Game Pass, PC. Best
I know,
time
I
to
gotta
jump in.
start my Persona 5 Royale run, but it's on my backlog.
I almost beat it on PS5. Now I'm gonna have to start over on Xbox. Another 100 hours.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. John, what about Teamfight Tactics or Super Auto Pets, right? Those are kind of turn-based games.
Yeah, but they're multiplayer.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting idea, too, because I know...
Well, as we just said, chess was a turn-based game, and auto chess is just one step.
What about Yu-Gi-Oh, John?
I don't know. I had the Game Boy game.
Wait, I want to hear John's thoughts about auto chess, TFT.
I like auto chess, but I don't know. I gravitate a lot more toward multiplayer games, as you know. So those games are faster paced. They give you the satisfaction of beating other people and knocking them out of your lobby. So I love that. It's different.
Something I never tried and we should probably try sometime is multiplayer XCOM. I wonder how it'd be.
Well, what I was going to say is there's a multiplayer Wargroove too, right?
Yeah,
there's co-op.
It was okay.
We played the co-op.
See, it's different though. I feel like I'd really like multiplayer XCOM because you each have like your little character you want to keep alive, right?
No, there's a difference between multiplayer and co-op, Griddle.
What is the Oh, you're playing against someone else?
Yeah.
Right, like matches and just trying to win. Which is interesting too, because I think a lot of the what makes XCOM special is you are leveling up these characters, and if they die, they're gone. So like in a multiplayer situation, I doubt that would be the case, but again, I don't know. Do you level up characters in XCOM? Because that'd be sick if you could level up your people and just be OP as hell.
Yeah, I think you can bring in your people from your story into your multiplayer matches, but I don't think if they die, they're gone. So there's less stakes.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, like, yeah. Speaking of XCOM, let me rephrase it, and we'll focus in on turn-based tactics
Nice.
within the turn-based genre. So, personally, I thought like coming into this was going to be more like Fire Emblem because of all the characters, but I was pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed an Advanced Wars game as much as I did.
Yeah, I typically love turn-based tactics ever since XCOM. Played through all of Gears Tactics, which to me felt like the most perfect matchup, because in regular Gears you're hiding behind cover, you're shooting out of cover. It's perfect to mesh with XCOM. In practice, I didn't like it as much because it's kind of like the Mario and Rabbids type, where in Mario and Rabbids, instead of having a percentage to hit, and then if you hit, it's like celebrate like in XCOM. Mario and Rabbids, you just do more or less damage, and you're gonna hit. So I don't enjoy that.
It was based on the cover. You're gonna hit unless they're in cover. Then it's like 50%.
Right. But in XCOM, you have a percentage to hit, and you could like get a 1% shot and go crazy because it's very unforgiving.
Yeah, I think their calculations were a lot different. To your point.
Yeah, so when I tried Mario and Rabbids, I kind of bounced off. When I played Gears Tactics, I wish they would have made the combat more like XCOM, because it wore out its welcome after. That's a long game for what it is, doing the same missions over and over again.
Paul, and you mentioned Gears Tactics as well. I played XCOM with Jay. I remember back to the frat house days and the Jay's Law.
Yeah, the game I constantly thought about while I was playing Wargroove was Fire Emblem Three Houses. My notes are full of comparisons to that game.
And I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan. Like, I go back all the way to Sacred Stones, and on the Game Boy, which was like originally NES or whatever, but I played it on the Game Boy, and I loved the shit out of that game. I probably sunk at least 130 hours into just like going back to the repetitive dungeon, like leveling up characters and whatever. And since then, I was like hooked on Fire Emblem in general. And yeah, Three Houses was great. Awakening is one of my favorites. So
yeah, and then didn't a new one just come? Oh no, it's gonna come out next year.
Next
right?
year, yep, in January, I think. So early next year. Yeah, which I'll play the crap out of that too. I gotta get a Switch that's not Taylor's. So, we can go ahead and start with Wargroove hot takes. Who wants to start? John.
Oh, always. My hot take is this game can only be beaten if you love this game. Got close. I didn't beat it.
What'd you get to?
Act 5.
Well,
I don't know.
It'll be filled with spoilers for you as well then.
Well, I mean, I looked up the ending of the game, so I'm not completely unknowledgeable. But yeah, I mean, you can only play one mission, or you can only play a mission 15 times, so many times.
Did you try lowering the difficulty?
There's a difficulty lowering option.
Yeah, I was gonna talk
Hard
about that
mode?
later.
Yeah, I think hard mode is the default mode.
Yes, hard mode is default, so you could turn it down.
Jeez. Yeah.
You probably would have had a more enjoyable experience had you found that setting.
Yeah, and I didn't until I stopped playing the game. I didn't even know you can turn the cutscenes off. So I watched the same cutscenes for I don't know how long.
Did you know that you could press B to speed it up?
No.
You could make that your
Slowest
default
game
setting.
of all time.
I made all the speed ups default
Yeah.
when I was playing.
Yeah,
I
I
would
wish I
just
would have
Skip. You
read
could
the
just
option
skip all
menu.
the animations too.
I think every time we pick a game, we gotta call John and walk
Yeah,
him
just be
through
like,
what the
here's
options
how
are.
your
Here's,
ease of use settings are.
Yeah, accessibility stuff for you.
It was just
we'll
so
give him
slow.
a John mode.
Ugh.
All right, we're still in hot takes.
Yeah,
though,
hot
right?
takes. Your turn, Jay.
This game didn't need so many factions. They could have just had different heroes because all the factions are just reskins of the first faction. If they had different factions that had cool different abilities and stuff, it would have been a way better game in my opinion. But maybe that's
they
how
have-
Advance Wars is.
They have different colors.
Yeah, I don't care. I want like the
What are you
tree
talking
people to
about?
do some cool shit.
Did you guys
you know.
not summon the battle pups for each of them? They changed the
Yeah, they all
pup
do
itself.
the same thing.
No,
The leaders had
they did
different
the same
abilities
thing,
that you
but-
get to use once a thing.
That's what I'm saying is they didn't need so many factions. They could have just had different heroes instead of different colored stupid.
But the story, Jay.
Yeah.
As we'll get to, Paul, you're up.
My hot take for this game is that there are a couple of levels in this game that are harder than some of the hardest Souls-like bosses, and some of the side quests are absolutely soul-crushing.
They are. Okay.
That's
I'm
just a
glad.
fact. That's not even a hot take.
I'm glad that we
That's
all
usually
thought
my
this
hot
game was
take.
hard.
I spent more time on some of the levels in the later part of the game than I spent beating Gwent or Ishin and Sekiro.
Yeah, I spent more time staring at the desktop shortcut, deciding whether I wanted to open this game or not, than I did doing other things.
It was a war of attrition, this game. I got home and I'm like, I got one mission in me. I can do it.
I can do
And
it.
then I can play games I want to play.
Oh wow. Okay, we're gonna have an interesting discussion about this game. All right, so let's start with all of our favorite topics: story setting and character thoughts.
Mhm.
So, I guess I'll just leave it open with like story thought. Oh, before we get into it, this is our spoiler alert. Flash it up. There will be spoilers. This is a spoiler-heavy podcast, so if you haven't played the game, go ahead and play it. But it shouldn't be too much. So, what did you guys think of the story overall? Like, was it interesting to you? Was it tacked on? Do you remember anything about it? Start with Paul.
Yeah, I have a note. It's a quote from Sigurd. I think she does a nice job summing up the story, or at least how I feel about it. She says in Act 7, I think I'm going to vomit. The story in this game, it had the same basic event happen over and over and over.
Yeah, because that's all they had animated.
I guess, but like, man, I was not into the story of this game. And I'll let you guys kind of share your thoughts before I get into the nitty gritty on why.
I wasn't so cold on it as Paul is. I thought it was cute, serviceable. I think if you take it out, it's a worse game. If it was just mission to mission, I thought they were cute little cutscenes in between, and some of the animations were cool the first time you saw it.
Yeah, some of the characters said some really funny stuff, and it was very self-aware at times too, which I appreciated.
I will say, I hate when they voice just one word. Don't include voice acting if you're gonna half-ass it.
So many games do that.
Yeah, what's the point? Just don't voice any of the words. One word doesn't add anything. It actually just annoys me because it's a repeated word. Like, hello. That's stupid. Yeah, I get annoyed by it so bad.
I think they did the best. I mean, this is a really, really small studio. It's basically a very small indie game that they just sunk their passion into. So I can't. I gotta give them a pass on voice acting, but also I agree.
It'd be better if they didn't have any
passion,
any voice acting.
It would be better if they didn't have any passion. Then this game wouldn't exist, and Gradle couldn't have picked it.
Oh, damn, guys. Well, John, you didn't express your opinion of the story.
The story was very bare bones. Or very it was a game needs a story, and so this game has a story, but there's nothing special about it.
Yeah, but I appreciated that for it. I liked that it was they gave you at most 30 seconds of cutscene, and that is more than enough. And I'm like, okay, cool. You set the scene. My notes on story are Cherrystone. Okay, cool. Gloomwood. Nice. A little twist. And Heavensong. Desert has an interesting culture. And that's all I have on the story.
I mean, my gripe with the story is, so you flee Cherrystone, you get to this new region, you're attacked due to a misunderstanding, you fight 3 battles, somebody comes and realizes who you are, and they're like, whoa, stop fighting, these guys are cool. And then you go to another region with somebody who joins your party and repeat 3 or 4 more times until the end of the game, and your party's full. It's the same basic formula in each new act. Even at the end with Valder, and I just couldn't believe that. It's like this whole game story is one big misunderstanding.
Except for the evil vampire.
And now everyone's friends. I
did really like how you played as her at the beginning of the game.
I also have
that was
a
cool.
quote, if we want to skip to the very end of the game, and this is my only quote. It's when
Let's hear it.
Ragna says, "Oh, okay," and then turns around and screams at Solar, "I'll tear you to pieces."
Yeah.
Up until the entire point, she's been chasing after Mercia, and then finally she gets to her, and the boss is like, "Nah, she good, dog." And Ragna's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I chuckled.
I did love Ragna.
Mm-hmm.
Ragna.
That was my favorite part of the whole story.
Ragna stole the show. I wish I could have played as Ragna the entire game.
You can play arcade mode as Ragna.
There's a side quest where you play as Ragna.
What is arcade mode?
Arcade mode is just a basically open battle, 5 times. So it's you each start at nothing and you build your resources and then you battle.
Gotcha.
So I played a few of them. I only played 2 characters. Yeah, so each one is a character and you do a boss gauntlet basically.
Okay.
But yeah, speaking of the characters and Ragna, what was everyone's favorite character and why?
Ragna.
Start with you, Jay.
Yeah.
Ragna was the best because she was always screaming.
But you hate it when I scream.
I know. Funny how that happens.
I thought Ragnar was just so over the top with her yelling and screaming that it was funny, and I found it charming.
Yeah,
and I really liked her wardrobe as well.
Yeah.
There's one time when I fought her when she, for some reason, just shield jumped into the middle of my army. And I killed her on like turn 3, and it was like the only S that I got.
She was ballsy, man. She's gonna do that. That's so in character for Ragnar.
Yeah. So
they programmed Ragnar to be like, just go for the boss. Don't care about anything else. You will die. To like pawns surrounding you.
I also really liked what is the guy's name who travels with Mercia?
Emmerich.
I liked Emmerich too. His wardrobe was really clutch. The cherry stone magic thing that he dropped down to increase your defense, like that came in clutch a lot of times for me.
Yep, I agree. Emmerich was my favorite because his Wargroove was the only one I was able to use like effectively.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like if we talk about Wargrooves, and we might as well, sure. So, I'd say that my favorite Wargroove, besides Ragnar, because Ragnar was awesome to just jump into people with their shield jump. But I liked Mercia's heal because that came in clutch as well. So I would say like the ones I couldn't use effectively were
Caesar.
Caesar you could, but you got to plan a whole turn ahead, so it's like not even worth it.
Yep, because he needs everyone to be next to him to make it. I mean, they all do, but they need to have used their turn and then be next to him to make it effective. And it's just like hard to plan out.
Yes, and that's where I found myself too, is like I used it more for movement a lot of the time, which probably shouldn't have, but I felt like I just like would waste it.
Better than me, I never beat a Caesar mission.
New the from Gloomwood, you had to like pay extra amounts to summon a troop at that location, and it was like an absurd extra amount.
Double.
So I never used that. I don't know if you guys did.
I used it a couple times when I had to like summon something to block so that she wouldn't die.
I thought hers was pretty good, honestly. Yeah, it costed more, but she puts it down and then it gets a turn. So because it wasn't just summoned and just sat there, because it got a turn as well, it made it really effective that you could summon the unit that's super effective against whatever's in front of you.
That's true, and it's right there.
I liked Valder.
The Summon of the Dead.
Yeah, you just summon a bunch of trash to overwhelm. I thought it was pretty cool, and I got it frequently because I had him on my front lines a lot, so he'd be fighting a lot. So I was just pooping out skeletons left and right, and it really helped me on the last couple missions.
That's
the
awesome.
Last mission.
And then you have Koji with his sparrow bombs. Those were interesting.
Yeah, those fucked me up, but whenever I use them, it doesn't work out so well.
Yeah, they're like chip damage. Any others worth mentioning? I'd never used the vines effectively. That one guy, I can't even remember his name. Okay.
Vines? I don't remember anybody having vines.
I don't know who you're talking
It was
about.
the king, so it was probably a puzzle.
Okay.
So, yeah, next difficulty, which we already touched on, but this game was fucking hard. And did any of you lower the difficulty? We already kind of talked about the ability to do that. Did Paul or Jay, did you actually do it for any mission?
Yeah, so I lowered the difficulty just to see, and it does really help because you take less damage and you make way more money. I think you make 150 gold per house. So I played one of the missions in Act 5 on easy, and it totally just ruined the game for me. It took away the thing that I liked about it, which was like the tactical challenge. So I ended up going back up to standard difficulty, but I think it really would have made it easy for you to finish the game, John, if you ever had any interest in going back to do that. Because it just makes you rich, and your units don't die as fast, which helps a lot.
Yeah, both of those are very important parts of the game.
Yeah, I didn't even have to really worry about spacing where stuff was because it was tankier and I could just replace it so easily. Makes it a lot faster.
Yeah, I never did turn down the difficulty.
Yeah, me neither.
I suffered through the pain that we all felt, and it sounds like it was almost worth it because I don't think I would have liked it either if it literally took away the two things that were challenging about the game: resource management and like planning, not dying.
That was the only enjoyment in this game, was to like barely pull off a victory by barely like spacing your guys or taking down the last building.
Yeah, you're like pooping your pants the other 90% of the time.
But on the flip side of the coin, it was the worst part of the game because if you're off by one fucking square, then you fucking lose and you have to start over. Or it wasn't until like Act 4 where I knew you had save checkpoints where you could just...
I told John that one too.
Yeah.
John knows.
So once I figured that out, it got a lot better because I could try different stuff without having to restart the entire level.
That was like the only way I got through the epilogue, was like saving every 1 or 2 turns. Like the only way.
I didn't know there was an epilogue.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So progression thoughts, I guess. I thought this game was really well paced, and one of the things I really liked about it was that each level introduced a new concept that you got to try out in later levels. So, right, you start off with just like the basic combat tutorial of a swordman and a spearman, and then level 2 adds the ranger, and level 3 is then your first like resource management, because it's your war with Ragna, your first like boss battle, and you're trying to take over towns and destroy towns with knights. And then they add villager wagons and teach you like an escape plot. And then what you got? Pups and Fog of War. And like I said, I mean, I really liked the progression of things, and there were a ton of like looking through this list that I made as I was like going through the game of like what was new. There was so many units that by the end your arsenal is just insane. Like imagine replaying some of like the older levels if they let you use those units. Like that would be fun.
Yeah, you just plop down a dragon and win.
Yeah, right. Yeah, dragons were awesome. Titans were awesome. By the time you got there. And yeah, I appreciated that it introduced air combat, and then it introduced naval combat, and added like an extra layer. And this was my first like Advance Wars light game. So I don't know if you guys have played Advance Wars previously. No?
No, I haven't.
So I think overall it was like a good experience for me into the genre of Advance Wars, and I liked the resource management of it, like the economy, as John put it. So, but also there was an epilogue, Jay. You needed 100 stars to unlock it.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that.
How many
I
did
looked
you
up.
end up with?
I don't know.
Mhm.
I'd have to look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
needed
looked up.
12 at the end. And so that's when I started doing like the puzzles and like the arcade mode to try those, because those gave you a couple stars here and there, and then you could always look up the puzzles. And so that was like the quickest way for me to get stars, at least, because I wasn't being like, oh, if I replay this level, I'll get S rank. So, what are your guys' gameplay thoughts? Let's first talk about like the strategy aspect of it. So, like, did you guys have what you thought was like the best strat, or did you feel like the game kind of let you do your own thing, or was there a right way of doing things?
After trebuchets or catapult, I forget what they're called. After those are unlocked in the game, I would just put my hero in front with a healer behind it and a catapult, and that's what I did for every every level basically, because the AI will automatically target your hero because that's how they win. You just keep healing your hero, one maybe two healers, and then you just slowly make your way closer and closer. And it would take me a shit ton of turns and I wouldn't get S ranks, but that's how I would beat it.
That's actually really smart. I kind of like. I wish I had done that. Some of the missions I was fucking struggling with.
Yeah, what I learned on that horde mode side quest, Gradle, I think you played that as well, was that you can manipulate how the AI units move based on where you place your units. Because there was one part of the map on that mission where I could just force them up into a corner where they wouldn't move and they never would come toward my units because they didn't want to enter their attack range. So after I figured that out, which was in Act 3, I could set traps basically where I could force enemy units to move into disadvantaged positions where I could 2-for-1, just basically win trades. I used dogs a lot and I used knights a lot. I almost never used siege equipment. I used the healers for anti-air because they were cheap and they doubled as healers. The ballistas were expensive and weren't that much more effective against air units.
You had to position them as well.
Yeah.
You couldn't like move into them. Hey Jay,
dogs,
do
knights,
you want to
healers.
scream? John, what was your strat?
I was just running around like an idiot, losing all the time. I would try to get favorable trades, of course. I played real slow, trying to econ up, thinking that that was a viable way to play the game, or at least a way that would make the game easier, let the enemies come to me. But I don't know. I think by the end, I found that being more aggressive was, well, by the end, I didn't even get to the end, but by the end of my time, I think and I'm not 100% sure, but maybe being more aggressive was the way to go. I don't know. I really struggled in that I kept feeling like there is a strategy that I needed to find in order to be able to beat these levels, and I just never found it. And I don't know.
No,
Because,
I
yeah.
think like you reminded me of, because I had a similar style of play to you where I would go for econ, and like whoever controls the economy controls the board and controls like when to push. And so I think like really for me it was a balance of like being aggressive and being defensive. Like if you didn't feel you were gonna win, sometimes I would like bait my enemies in, and then I'd move forward with more units and such. So I think it was really like a balance for me of that. But also, it does sound like you can pretty much play it however you want based on our 4 different play styles.
Yeah, and later in the game, it was a lot of putting down a dragon, making sure your dragon's right outside of the range of their anti-air, and killing everything that can't fight back against it, you know?
Yeah, and trying to keep away from things that could. And yeah, that was
that's what I meant.
that
Right
was part
outside
of
of
it
its
too.
range. That's
Yeah.
what took a lot of enjoyment out of the game for me, is I was just kept on hovering enemy to see where their range ended, and then I'd go back to my character, and then I'd forget where that range ended, and I'd go back to the
there was
enemy
no lock
character, hover it
option,
again.
which they definitely needed one.
So that was annoying.
Yeah, that was one of the things I really like about Fire Emblem was they had the lock feature where you and XCOM and like every strategy game, modern strategy game, like that's a huge feature of these games. Like, is exactly what you're saying. You want to know where they're going to move into, and you want to know in comparison to your character. So the fact that they couldn't like lock it into place was so annoying to me as well.
Or just show the closest character range, you know.
What about the other gameplay aspects of the game? So I like to talk about stars. Did any of you give a shit about the stars? Sounds
No.
like Jay did.
No, it was too hard for me to worry about it.
Yeah, I was just happy to get through the level.
Yeah.
No desire to play the mission a second time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. Did you play the epilogue, Paul? Did you get 100 stars?
No, I didn't, but I did look up the final battle and then the cutscene.
Yeah, and the final battle was the most annoying thing for me. It took me 37 turns. I wrote down.
Oh,
wow, that's longer than my longest battle.
Yep, that was my longest battle by far. Like I was checkpointing every few turns, and so it took me closer to like 150 turns to beat the epilogue. I don't know why I did it, but I did.
That's cool that you beat it. I think I wish I had the patience. Oh, the other thing, if you turn the difficulty down, is it caps the max stars you can get at 2. So you're basically not going to get to play the epilogue if you're playing on easy.
That's actually, now that you mentioned that, is the reason I didn't drop it down. Was I was like, I'm not going to risk not getting more than 1 star.
How'd you know there was an epilogue?
Yeah, when you beat the game, it's like you need 100 stars to see the true ending. Not that the ending even mattered, but they left you on a real big cliffhanger for those that didn't beat the game. So let's talk about the other features of the game, the well-roundedness of the game. I liked that there was a bunch of side missions. I actually really appreciated it. And at this point, I think it's appropriate to talk about one specific side mission in particular. And start it off there. John, do you know what I'm talking about?
The Caesar mission, Act 3, Side 2?
Yeah, something like that. Act 3, Side 1, or I don't remember the exact number, but yes, the Caesar.
Act 3, Side 1, yep.
Yep. The Caesar defense mission. Holy shit, was that the most annoying mission in this entire game. That was one of the last ones I beat.
This was the mission I burned out on the game on.
Yeah.
I
remember I beat this one.
It took me probably close to 3 hours to beat this one.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't know I could checkpoint when I beat this one.
Well, that was my issue too.
Contributed.
Was I played this mission, I tried maybe 6 times, and I didn't know about checkpoints, so each attempt was like an hour. over the course of, days. And it was ridiculous, right? This is where you don't know how many enemies. Like the first time maybe not the first time, but it's the first time at least where the enemies seem like they never stop spawning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I would always get to the point where the bandit comes up and says something, and then the guys are like, "Whoa, they're halfway done with their guys," and I'm like, "They're only halfway done?
Yeah.
Shit."
Yeah, because you feel like you're in a good spot for so long, and then so many more come in.
Yeah.
And at this point, the game's been pretty easy. You can do basically whatever you want.
Yeah.
You feel like you're good at strategy up until this point, and then this mission comes along, and you throw your just throw your face at it for 8 hours and nothing happens. At least
No, I
that's
definitely.
me.
No, that happened to me too. I gave up after maybe 6 attempts. I was like, you know what? I just need to keep moving forward. And I feel like I felt that way on a lot of them, and I ended up skipping probably 5 or 6 side missions. Like I'd try them once, and if I gauged that they were too hard and it was going to take me more than like 2 attempts, I would just like move on in the main story. And I think you had to move forward because that was the first mission. That was the like you like Elden Ring references, Paul. That's like the Margit mission.
Yeah, I got a big dopamine rush when I beat this one because I was so desperate, and I didn't know I was gonna win until like 2 turns. There were like 2 turns left to go, and I was like, oh, "Okay, I have the damage to knock down this last giant." And the relief I got was so good. Tough fight.
Does anyone else have any like of their most memorable missions or moments? Let's just talk about some good things of this game. Nulu. Yep, I think I did this. Yep, needed to get a wagon to Mercia. That one was hard too. Objectives, yeah, no, I like that too. There was different like purposes for what you were doing. Sometimes you had to escape, sometimes you had to defend, sometimes you had to destroy a stronghold. Jay, you have any that come to mind?
That I liked?
Yeah, or did you hate every single one without the trebuchet?
Even with the trebuchet, I knew what I had to do. It just took so long to do it. I had to slowly move up like one square at a time, or just hold a opening in a wall until enough of them are dumb enough to come attack me that I can even the playing field. So, and I didn't like how they were always talking. Like, you take a wrong step, and Emmerich has some shit to say again, and if you restart the level, he's still gonna say the same shit. But I liked this last level where you get to be all the heroes and use all their abilities. Like, game would have been better if each character had a Wargroove, that you could do cool shit with, instead of this spearman, if it stands next to another spearman, will do more damage. And I didn't like Emmerich's Wargroove either. You guys were all creaming your jimmies about it, but I put my people on the mountain for the defense bonus, and I put down Emmerich's shield. I would expect the defense to go up to 7, but no, it doesn't. It stays at the same level. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. The one thing I liked, Emmerich's shield. Fuck Emmerich's shield. I hate Emmerich's shield now.
I thought it was only useful because the enemies would target your fucking crystal.
I agree too, though. But having like 2 enemies attack the crystal was useful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I there were a few points in the game where I was like, yeah, that was cool, that was fun, but most of it I was like, I need to get through this level so I can talk about it with Gradle.
I'm gonna die.
So I'm glad you had mentioned that like every character having its own groove was cool, and that's like what I love about Fire Emblem in particular, is that's all it is like you are these characters fighting. It's like this mission that we're watching in the epilogue, where you have like a strategy and like you have more of a bond to the characters themselves, and so I definitely like Fire Emblem more than Advance Wars, and I think I appreciate that they included characters with grooves in it. But yeah, I definitely, it's hard for me to say I'm in love with this genre.
Yeah, I have like that same note. Like I was thinking of Three Houses and how much more I like those characters that I'm playing with than these random spearman units.
Except if you have 2 spearmen and 2 pups, then you can position the 2 and then the pups go next to the...
Yeah, and the permadeath, and I just love the permadeath feature.
In Fire Emblem,
Three Houses, yeah, that's such a cool thing. I just love when games have stakes and things matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got rid of permadeath in the later Fire Emblems, but like it's always an option.
Yeah, you can turn it off, right?
Yeah, and I play with it off now, but it definitely makes it less high stakes, as you said. Like there were times in like Sacred Stones where I'd replay a mission 8 times so that my one character wouldn't die.
Yeah.
But as for the other features of the game, so yeah, we talked about all the side missions and all the missions. They also had arcade mode, which, as I explained to John, is just a mode that lets you do like a boss gauntlet of it. And I completed a few, and it didn't sound like any of you guys did. There's also puzzle mode, which is like you have 1 turn to like beat a boss, destroy a stronghold, like win the objective. And I really did like this one because, like, yeah, this was like ultimate strategy. You just got like a bunch of units on the map, and you got to figure out how to best use them. And so that one, I actually enjoyed like playing those puzzles a lot more than most of the missions. So if you aren't totally burned out, I would recommend playing a couple puzzles and just seeing if that helps your opinion.
No.
No,
yeah,
never going back.
I feel like I've been pretty positive so far, but like I agree with Jay. Like this game did fatigue me, and once I got past Act 4, I stopped doing side quest missions, and I did just want to get through the main quest. It was really grueling, these missions. Like it, once you got past Act 4, most of them were like an hour plus to play through it, like 30 turns.
Yep, agreed.
For me, most of the time, really grueling.
They also have a map and campaign builder, which I like just poked around because I just explored the whole menu pretty much one day, and like you can make your own missions and like play community missions and like all this good. So there's like thousands and thousands of missions that you could play, and the builder itself seemed pretty fleshed out. You could make cutscenes and like all that stuff. So it's pretty cool touch to have like a little Mario Maker part of just a game like this.
Yeah, I saw that too. I did think that was cool, and I like when games do that. They give their passionate fans who love the game the opportunity to go in and make their own custom maps. And then you can download, I don't know if you said this or not, I might have missed it, but you can download other people's custom maps and play on them, which I think is cool.
I probably will never do it just because there's thousands of them, but like, yeah, no, it's a cool like community concept for like the real fans of these games. And there are, I mean, there's at least 1,000 people that actually built maps, so you have to assume most of them have played the game, but maybe they just built it and they're playing other people's. You don't know. If you're one of those people, comment below.
Tell us how we can find your custom map. And
shout
I'll
out to your custom maps, and we'll play them for an extra special Patreon award.
Yeah, we'll play them.
I will. If you comment on the video telling me how to find your custom map, I will play it.
Yes.
I promise.
Yeah, and I'll play it too.
There is one more feature as well, and there's the co-op. Jay, do you want to talk about our co-op experience, or should
I? You can handle this one.
So the co-op mode is a like DLC edition, and they add in like 2 units, a like long-range gunner and a rogue for stealing gold. And so we played the tutorial of this thing, and you play co-op in that it's 2 main characters. So one is the barbarian, like Scottish barbarian, I guess. I don't know what his deal is. I think he's a miner or something. That's the one you played, Jay. And then his son and daughter. And did you get the miner's groove? What did it do?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But I remember what mine did because it killed me using it. So apparently, and that's the other thing about this game, is it really doesn't tell you much of anything, even like when it does tell you stuff. Like the description of the grooves are not clear completely. So I ended up using this fire groove that I thought was gonna like take out a whole area of enemies, and I dropped it on myself and then died the next turn. Because as soon as I dropped it on myself, I paused, and then our turn started, and I burned up and died.
We didn't really want to restart, so that was all we saw of the co-op mode.
Yeah, there was no way we would restart it. Oh man. So let's go ahead and close it off, guys.
What's the epilogue?
That's what you're looking
at.
It.
Oh, we're watching it?
Yeah, we're watching
it. Oh,
yeah,
I'm watching it too.
I can't believe you beat the epilogue, Alec.
37 turns.
I had a lot that were 30, close to 30. I think my longest one was like 33 turns. And it was that massive battle during Act 6 where you fight as all of the companions except for Mercia and Caesar.
And that was a long one.
That was probably my favorite mission of the game.
Just trying to trance up the Valder.
Just putting it all together. Like I felt so strategic. I took away the seaports first, and I supported my ground troops with air troops. and then I took over that port behind his base, and I used mer people to get into the back of the base and knock down his tower. And that took forever. It's probably why it took like 33 turns or whatever it was, because I was backdooring with the mer people.
Oh my god. Yeah, there's a couple that there was one where I got a dragon and I like sent it all the way around. Oh, it was the one with like the port in the bottom of the map, and I just sent my dragon like all the way around and into the tower.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yep. I had like 3 dragons just like get inside and burn it down.
Yeah, I watched the guy's speed run that we have playing, and I saw he basically beat that level with 3 of the really powerful desert air units, which is pretty wild. I wish I had thought of that, because I failed that mission I was talking about on like turn 30, and I forgot to save a checkpoint, so I lost like an hour and 15 minutes, and I was just like so devastated, so soul crushing.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way on a lot of these failures, and yeah, it definitely took like 45 to an hour to get back sometimes on your progress. So I'll go ahead and share my closing thoughts first, and then we'll
Hold on one sec. So, in the after you beat the lady who has Requiem, Mercia touches Requiem. And everyone's like, "No, you can't withstand the power." What happens in this epilogue?
She withstands the power.
What's that mean?
And then she takes out all of these like bad guys, and then defeats the Sidar. What's her name? Sigurd. And tames Requiem, and that's her new thing.
She tames? Didn't she beat Sigurd earlier?
Yeah, and then she's grabbing the sword, the sword that can split the realm or whatever. I don't know the story, John.
I thought you loved the story.
No, I love that there was
cute.
barely a story that I had to pay attention to.
I'm confused. I thought that after Mercia grabs Requiem and it's alluded to that she's not going to be able to withstand the power, I thought the squad was going to kill Mercia. But instead, she just fights these random purple people?
Yep.
That's Dark Mercia that she fights.
Yeah, she's fighting Dark Mercia.
Who
It's in the corner
the
there.
fuck is Dark Mercia?
She touches the sword, and she like replaces the princess who was bound to Requiem, and she has to overcome the darkness within herself.
Yeah.
So this is an internal battle?
Requiem.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is in the sword.
This is in the sword?
Yeah.
I thought it was a guitar.
It's a
It was a
cello. They
guitar
told
for-
us that.
Same
It
thing.
was a cello for Sigurd, but it was it turns into a sword. Yeah, so that's spoiler alert. It turns from a guitar into a sword, and
It doesn't matter. No
I
one's
just
gonna play the
see-
epilogue. That's why we
We're
need
gonna
to spoil it right now.
I like as we're watching this stream, I see her use her Wargroove, and I just hear, "I'm here to help."
I'm here to help.
That's weird because it's
Yeah.
muted. Okay. Also, if we're gonna like keep talking about this guy's speedrun, we should shout him out.
This guy
Kind by
is
Unity. Ev
Le Grand.
Le Grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has an hour 40-minute speedrun of this ridiculous game.
Yeah,
If
that
Gradle,
took
you might
us
want to put footage of the game underneath
20 hours.
each lesson, each level we talk about.
Yeah. But if you haven't played this game yet and you are thinking about it, watch the speedrun first.
Yeah, then you get all the good
And you
strategy.
can feel really bad about how you suck at this game.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean you just use the strats.
You do move for move what this guy does, and you'll
Yeah.
beat the game in an hour.
Pause it every 2 seconds.
30
Okay.
minutes.
It would still be
Give this guy-
faster.
Yeah, no, it would be. If you like literally went back and forth, you could probably beat it in like 4 hours. Ugh, this guy's crazy. Anyway, are we ready to close it out?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I'll start off with, you can tell that this game took a ton of time and passion to make, and it's very well polished. It's extremely challenging, but I personally felt it wasn't deterring. You guys obviously don't share that opinion. But I appreciated the challenge, because if it wasn't for the challenge, I honestly don't think I would have enjoyed it as much as I did. As Jay put it very early on, I think it was Jay that it was both your favorite part and your least favorite part.
Yeah.
So that says a lot. Any other closing thoughts?
Are you gonna score it?
Oh, should I score it? Yeah, I should score it.
If you're giving your closing thoughts on it.
Yep. So let's go
Typically
ahead
we
and score
score.
it. So overall, I think I'm going to score it at an 7.5.
Okay. Want me to go next?
Yes.
Great. This game's a 5 for me, dog. Yeah, it was mediocre. I didn't really enjoy my time with this. It was a chore to play. I think it could have been easily remedied by having the different factions have different troops, so you could look forward into playing as a new faction with different troops with different abilities, because there's no reason to change factions if you're just changing the color of it, right? Like, oh, I get to play as the tree people, and this time my units are the same but green. It's I think that part was low effort, and they could have done better. I understand it's a small team. I think it's a great first effort, if it is their first effort. If it's not, it's a great effort. And I'm sure there's a great audience for games like this, but it's not me. So I didn't like the voice acting, as I already mentioned, and I didn't really like the soundtrack. Pixel graphics do it for some people. They don't really do it for me. So 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I can go next. I didn't touch on the soundtrack, but I don't know how overall I feel about it, but I do remember a couple specific levels where I did really like the soundtrack. I really liked it, like in particular on that Horde mission, Act 3, Side 1, specifically. I don't know if you remember it, Alec. And then that big battle at the end in Act 6, I really dug the soundtrack then too. It was pretty epic. So just a quick plug. But overall, my thoughts on the game, I'm in the same camp as Jay. Overall, this game simply wasn't for me. I don't enjoy the genre especially, but I do appreciate the level of polish that Alec mentioned. And I think people who like turn-based tactical games would enjoy this game. But if you're not into that genre, I wouldn't recommend this game. I think, like Dr. J, they played it too safe with the gameplay, having the factions essentially just be different colors, but otherwise the same, instead of doubling down on the aspect of the game that really makes it fun. The characters with Wargrooves was probably not the best design choice, but I get it how it's probably hard to design a bunch of units that have unique
Well,
abilities.
you could
and
even
balance
just
that.
make the air units be specific to the desert faction.
Yeah,
Even
yeah. I mean,
that would have been something.
yeah. I agree overall.
What do you
with
mean
your
it's
take.
hard to design a game that has a bunch of units that have unique abilities?
And I think in Advance War it's the same thing. It's just reskin for each faction.
Yeah.
So if that's their inspiration, they stuck true to it.
Yeah, it's the genre, but it's
Yeah, I guess
definitely
my
a
preference,
dated
like
style.
I said, I guess my preference, like I alluded to earlier, is just like a Fire Emblem Three Houses style of game in this genre.
Yeah.
Where all of your units feel unique. So overall, I think this game just isn't going to appeal to people who aren't into the Advanced Wars type tactical games. And none of the units felt cool. So my score for the game is a 6 out of 10.
Yo. Yeah, same point as Paul. If this isn't your type of game, there's no need to experiment with it. This game, so I wouldn't recommend it to people who don't like your turn-based tactical game. This game is not fun. So I understand that there's some dumpster fires of games, so I won't go all the way to the bottom. But I don't know, it's a 3. This is the least fun game we've played.
It's your review in progress.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's my review in progress. Maybe when I beat it on easy mode, it'll jump up.
Is that what kind of body you got for you, John?
I don't remember. Who knows?
Was that more fun than this game?
No, that game sucked too. That was my own fault. I don't know.
And he picked it himself.
Oh man. Yeah,
All right,
good
well,
times.
I appreciate your guys' feedback for none other than my own personal interest in the tactic genre. But
yeah, when I play RPGs, I prefer my RPGs like chess.
All right, we have been and still are the Giants of Backlog. So whose pick is next? Is it Jay's pick? We up to Jay?
I believe so.
Jay, what's your pick?
I've been really feeling like a turn-based RPG. So
Persona?
Yes.
yeah, we're gonna do 100 hours in 2 weeks. Take 2 weeks off from your job. No, it's gonna be a pretty short turn-based RPG. I really enjoy the Halloween season, so I've been craving something with more spooky but cozy vibes. So, and it's been a game on my backlog for years and years, so it's time to finally check it off. The game I'm picking is Costume Quest.
Ooh. Ah.
Oh, wow.
I have Costume Quest 2 still installed on my PlayStation 3, I believe. So it is
Both
also
are on
been
Game
my
Pass
backlog.
now, for your guys' information and for our audience. If you want to follow along, should be a quick 4 to 5 hour game. You got 2 weeks, you can do it.
Sounds good. Once again, thank you for all of our listeners. And please share if you like the content. Join in our journey to clear our backlogs. Never-ending journey.
Please
So,
subscribe, or
please subscribe.
Paul's children will go hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Leave a review on your podcast app of choice. And we love you.
Oh.
We do love
Send
you.
us an email at giantsofbacklog@gmail.com.
Yep, follow us
We
on
might answer
social
your
media
question on
at
the show.
giantsofbacklog.com.